Although episode 5 was a bit of a shorter episode and not many things happened, the things that did happen are setting up quite nicely for events in future episodes. In particular, one thing that happened we have been waiting on for years. So spoiler warning for those who haven't seen the episode just yet, I'm not going to be showing the episode or clips from it in this video, just images of the episode and analyses based on that. So, this episode starts off with Cinder going to Malachite to get the information she paid for. That Ruby boarded the Argus Limited, headed for Argus, and thus to Atlas. And that's where the information that Malachite gives ends. Now, I don't know what the time delay would be between when Cinder's getting this information versus when Ruby actually got on the Argus Limited, but with Malachite's information network and information gathering, I'm sure she'd be able to determine that not all of the Argus Limited made it to Argus. Part of it was derailed, and also Ruby didn't make it to Argus. So it would stand to reason that somewhere along those tracks, where the train was derailed, that's where Ruby is. But she didn't tell that to Cinder. I'm guessing she just didn't have the time because it turned out that someone else paid for information on Cinder. And that someone appears in the bar, who we've been waiting on information for since Volume 3. That person is Neo. She is finally returned, and we finally get her reintroduced into the story. And it looks like she has a grudge against Cinder for Torchwick being gone. She attacks her right in the bar, Malachite tells him to get out, and while they're fighting, we see that Neo has improved in her fighting style. She's using her illusions a lot more, and when she uses her illusions, she reappears wearing Torchwick's hat, so it does look like she's fighting Cinder because Torchwick is gone. Cinder trying to explain that, I wasn't responsible for Torchwick's death, which she kind of is because she got Torchwick wrapped up in all of this, but, she didn't actually kill him, so there is that. But activating her maiden powers to kind of knock some sense into Neo, and shock and awe, Neo stands back just like, okay, what the hell's going on? Because Cinder didn't have those maiden powers before. And creating a whirlwind and says, okay, Neo, let's just talk. Of course, Neo can't talk, which she points out, but she agrees to go with Cinder, and I'm guessing both of them are going to go together to go after Ruby to get their vengeance. Each for different reasons, but it looks like that's where it's headed. And I'm hoping that once Neo encounters Ruby, Ruby can kind of explain what exactly happened to Torchwick, that, as we know, the Grimm was the one that took out Torchwick. Ruby's not a cold-hearted killer, so that's where that will go, and I really hope that nothing happens to Neo, that she's not stabbed in the back, literally or figuratively, and that she lives on for the rest of the series, at least, because she needs to survive. She needs to be protected. If anything we've seen in RWBY Chibi, she's the most adorable character that we have, in my opinion, and I will argue that, but still. Now, one thing I want to go into about this entire thing, other than, Neo and Cinder going to be going off, is that Cinder displayed her maiden powers in front of the home base of an underground information network. If they didn't know about the maidens beforehand, they sure as heck do now, because I'm sure that someone in that information network, in that bar, was watching them fight. I'm sure they have lookouts guarding the place, or somewhere in that shady town, someone saw them. So the cat's out of the bag with the maiden powers, and I don't think the information is going to be disclosed to the public, but that's what's going to create or going to make Malachite more of an enemy. She's going to find out about the maidens, look into more information about that, and find out about the relics, find out about Salem, and become another party who's going to be after the relics. Because I'm sure even if she's just interested in money, she can sell the relics for quite a high price. I'm guessing that's where it's going to go. At the very least, the information has to be out there. There's no way that someone did not see Cinder activate her maiden powers, especially considering she created a whirlwind around herself, which would stir up everything everywhere, whether it's just the garbage whirling around. It would get people's attention. Something's going to happen with that, and we'll see in later episodes. Now, the latter half of the episode takes place on the farm, where it seems to be unfolding into quite the horror story. They first notice that everything seems to be in pristine condition and untouched. whereas the rest of the villages that they had passed through were either left abandoned and half-built, or completely damaged and destroyed. So it seems a little odd. They decide to hunker down due to this storm, preventing them from going anywhere, starting a fire. Weiss and Yang go get blankets, and they find a little bit more than they were bargaining for. They find the people who used to live there. We see them in the picture that Blake and RWBY find, and then we see them currently under the blankets. Looks like they were sleeping peacefully and never woke up. Years ago. They are corpses. Well, maybe not years ago, but long enough for them to start to decay. Their corpses freaks Weiss and Yang out. Crow finds the same thing in all the other houses, that people look like they've just gone to bed and never woke up. Corpses, all of them. So something did happen to that little farm, and we will probably find out what it is in later episodes. Crow decides to sweep the village again. Blake and Yang go look for a vehicle to see if they can get the heck out of there once the storm clears, and then RWBY and Weiss go look for food. Oscar and Maria, well, Oscar stays to tend the fire, and Maria decides to look for a bedtime story. Apparently Oscar's still that young, in her eyes at least. Blake and Yang go to a farmhouse in an effort to find a vehicle, and they start wondering about what exactly happened to the village. Blake suggests water contamination, but that doesn't seem likely. I'm especially considering everyone probably wouldn't have died at the exact same time if that was the case. But they end up finding a wagon that Yang suggests can just be pulled by Bumblebee, which can get everyone out of there. Which makes sense, but while Yang finds the wagon, she looks out the window and sees a vision of Adam, something that's still haunting her. She blinks and the vision goes away, but Blake is definitely concerned about her. Yang goes into still having the visions and, nightmares about everything that happened that night. Blake suggests that, says that, she's not going anywhere. She'll be there for her if he ever comes back. Yang's pretty happy about that. But then Blake goes further and says that she'll protect Yang, which ends that happiness and makes it turn to anger, and kind of makes her storm out of the room. Now, I can understand where Yang's coming from with this. She went through a traumatic experience and doesn't want to be seen as someone who needs to be protected. But that's what their teammates do. They protect each other. Blake will protect Yang, Yang will protect Blake. I know they're still on sensitive terms with everything that happened, but Yang needs to quell that rage. That was what Volume 4 was about, to get over her issues a little bit, at least a little bit over her trauma. And also Ty said you can't just fight headlong. You can't just go with your anger and go with your emotions straight in. You need to calm down and think, which Yang still needs to work on, as we see, and we have seen throughout this volume so far. We then see RWBY and Weiss as they stumble, or not stumble, but they go downstairs and find a bar. Weiss displaying some amazing control of dust, that she gets little will-o-wisp looking things to light all the candles in the room. It's amazing that she can control dust that well. And RWBY suggests maybe keeping that room closed because it's a fully stocked bar. Crow likes to drink, and she's realizing that he's not taking this so well with everything that Jin said, with his purpose in life being pretty much shattered. They agree to that, keep going, find even more alcohol, even a wine cellar in there that has a chain through it and a padlock on it. They also find food, grab that, and as they're leaving the room, the wine cellar kind of opens a little bit and then shuts quickly again. And that's where the episode ends. Very ominous, very set up like a horror story, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this actually goes. Now first, let's go over the possibilities of what caused all these people to die in their sleep. The first is a Grimm, but we haven't seen a Grimm with the ability to cause a group of people to go to sleep at the same time and just die in their sleep without being touched. We don't know if there's a Grimm that possesses that ability, and one could easily be introduced. We also don't know of a person whose semblance could do something like this, causing a bunch of people to pass out and not wake up. It could also be a type of dust, but my bet is also on a type of poison. Whether that poison being created from any of the three aforementioned things, a Grimm, a person's semblance, or dust itself, is up in the air, but something had to cause all of these people to die at the same time in the same night, whether it was just a long-term sleeping poison or something else that caused them to die? We will likely find out in coming episodes, considering it's probably something related to what's in the wine cellar. Now, we've had a couple hints at things in this episode. When Blake talked to Yang, Yang said she was just tired seeing visions and everything like that, which seems completely normal. But then when Ruby was talking to Weiss in the bar downstairs when they stumbled across the wine cellar, Weiss asked Ruby, "Are we really going to Atlas?" And Ruby said, "Are you nuts? What are you talking about? We have to keep pushing forward." Weiss also said she was just tired. Now, having a whole bunch of people looking like they just went to sleep and never woke up, and then two of our main characters saying they're tired in the exact same episode, I don't think is coincidence. So whatever it is that caused these people to pass out and not wake up is already affecting at least a couple people in our main group, and that's going to lead to some interesting possibilities. A couple people are probably going to pass out, and it's going to be up to the remaining few people. I'm guessing Ruby and Oscar, maybe Maria is going to showcase her abilities in this as well, are going to be the ones left awake, or the last ones awake, who are going to take care of whatever it is in the wine cellar and what's causing all of these, or caused all the people to die. Now, as for what exactly is in the wine cellar or in the basement, I'm not exactly sure, but at least we're going to find out a lot quicker than they will in Attack on Titan trying to find out what's in Eren Yeager's basement. But we'll have to see what's in the next episode, considering that the lid lifted up and the chains rattled and everything. It's something living, and the only thing that we know of in the RWBY world that can live in an enclosed space with no food and nothing like that is a Grimm. So it's probably a Grimm that caused all of this in some way, shape, or form. We haven't seen a Grimm with these capabilities, as I've mentioned before. We've seen them possess objects and tear things apart in a physical form, but not release spores or a sleeping gas or a poison or anything like that. Not to mention, whatever was locked in the basement had to have been locked in the basement. The people had to do it themselves, most likely. They captured whatever it was and threw it down there, or something. It had to have been something that was purposefully kept alive. Don't know if it's going to turn into like a zombie type thing where a Grimm can possess a human body maybe, and that was what was locked down there, or something along those lines. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below as to what caused all these people to pass out and die, what's in the wine cellar below, and what exactly is going to happen with this little horror story that seems to be unfolding. Last little thing I want to touch on is the vision of Adam that Yang saw. Considering Blake saw a vision of Adam on the train, and now Yang seeing visions of Adam as well, makes me think that these aren't all visions, that at least one of them is real and Adam is actually tailing them. Because we know from earlier in Volume 6 that Adam is really pissed off at Blake and is targeting her, as well as everyone she's traveling with, to get vengeance on his embarrassment, I guess, considering he probably caused it himself, but he'd never blame himself. Everyone else is at fault. So that conflict seems to be coming up soon, especially considering Blake had said he gains his power through control, through playing mind games with people and manipulating their head. So I'm guessing he's just holding off toying with Yang, making her freak out, worry, distrust everything that she's seeing and hearing, and then going to make his move. Makes me wonder if he's going to make his move first, or if Neo and Cinder are going to find them. Potentially Miss Malachite, if she knows or learns about the Maidens and then the relics, and then comes after them, but we'll see what happens with that. So let me know what you guys think about what's going to happen with Adam, Yang, Blake, with Neo and Cinder, how they're going to target RWBY, if anyone else is going to get involved in that conflict, whether Crow is going to protect them, potentially end up in more dire situations, if he's going to be able to recover from the despair that he's now feeling. Hopefully he doesn't end up finding that bar and drinking himself to death. And then what exactly is in that basement, we will hopefully find out next episode. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.